We are back live in public session on May 14th in Denver.
All right, so welcome everybody back to the public session of the May meeting. We'll turn it over to Mr. Hamrick.
Good afternoon. Today is May 14th, and my name is Ed Hamrick. I'm an Assistant Attorney General, and I represent the State Board of Land Commissioners. The board was in executive session to discuss legal questions and potential litigation surrounding the request for review for the competitive bid on ag lease number 118096 in Yuma County. The matters discussed were privileged attorney-client communication, and they were authorized under 24-6 4023A 2 and 3 of the Colorado Revised Statutes. The board is now back on the record, and no decisions were made in executive session, and the board is now ready to proceed with its public agenda. Thank you.
And Chair, I'm prepared to offer a motion to retable the item that we had tabled prior.
Untable.
Untable.
Sorry, pardon.
On table, the request for review item on our agenda. Thank you very much, Commissioner Heath. May I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Cribble, thank you for the second. Commissioner Cribble, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Commissioner Heath?
Aye.
Commissioner Scanlon?
Aye.
And the chair votes yes, motion carries 5-0. And I think to the next steps of proceeding with this matter, I'd like to invite staff up. Rachel Turner to provide some comments and discuss materials that are being added to the record.
Absolutely. Hi, Commissioners. For the record, Rachel Turner, Field Operations Team Lead, and I'm here to just discuss our general process and how we advertise expiring leases for renewal competitive bids during the public advertisement period. And I believe you're going to be handed a couple of sheets just as an example of what goes out. But every quarter, a notice is sent to each county office that is related to certain leases, and they're posted publicly at the county courthouses. And they're also posted within each district office and on our website. And that is how the general public finds what leases are expiring, when they're expiring, where they're located, and some of those details. Thank you very much. And so the sheet that you would have received that has the table on it is the document that's sent to the county courthouses, and as I mentioned, was posted. And the expiring agricultural lease document is sent as well. And that just provides some of the information that is available publicly. There's a blurb here that talks a little bit about what that looks like. The one that I wanted to point out is the Colorado State Board of Land Commissioners will not be obligated to consider any application made for land unless it is received 180 days prior to the expiration of the existing lease. And so in that sentence, it talks about will not be obligated to consider any application unless it's received before then. And then there are some other documents that you would have received. The one that's agriculture leasing competitive bid process is our general process that we've kind of written out to try and help public members or interested parties and what that might look like as just a general list. And so there is some information there as well, but I'm happy to answer any questions as you're kind of looking through them or point out any other pieces. And the requirement to post these every quarter is the statute related information.
So if I may, for clarification, this is the statute required publication every quarter. And how is it published?
It's sent to the county courthouses, and there used to be, they would print it, they post it on like a cork board and things like that. I think it's dependent on which county, if they still do that or if they have it available. It is posted in the district offices, and then it's available on our website. If you go to our Lease with Us agriculture link, there's an opportunity for people to click on expiring leases, and this is the report that would come up for each quarter.
Go on our website too. And then, I'm sorry, I was confused. What is this?
That is our public competitive bid guidelines or process. It's more of like a help sheet to inform anybody that's applying. This is our general process and how staff
And
is.
where would one find this?
This is all attached to each of the competitive bid applications. So on some of these notices, it says if you're interested in any of these leases, you can call the district office for more information. Usually if someone does that, we'll either email it to them or mail them. It is also available on that Lease With Us agriculture
So it's
website. So
on
it's a
our
public
this is
website.
on our website as well.
That's correct. Yep. Or folks can pick it up in the district office. So we mail it and email it as well upon request.
Commissioners, do you have any other questions about the materials we were just given? Any other questions for Rachel on our practices and general instructions? Right? Thank you, Rachel. At this time, according with our practices, we seek public comment on the matter before we even formulate our motion on the item. So at this point, both in the room, if there's a member of the public who wants to make a comment, we welcome you up now, and then we'll turn to the online community. Okay, appear to be no comments in the room. Nick, would you check for online comments?
If you're listening along online and you wanted to make a comment on this item in particular, please use the raise hand button and we'll bring you forward so that you can address this commission.
Just a question. You mentioned prior to us going into executive session that people who were online got offline, but they're all able to be back online now.
Unless I had to forcibly remove someone, everyone could rejoin. Unfortunately, I don't have a mechanism by which to signal everyone to rejoin. So we do have a few folks, I think it's mostly staff,
Okay.
but we are public and back on the same link.
So it appears there's no public comment on this matter. So commissioners, I would welcome, I think we'll do our normal practice of just having a discussion before we formulate the motion and vote on the motion. And so I would invite any comments or questions or discussion.
I just had a couple questions. Are we gonna have two votes? One to accept or not accept the application, and number two, to, based on that, who we choose as the lessee?
I think that would
Versus
make
just-
sense.
Okay, so the first thing we're discussing and voting on is whether or not to accept the Lenses bid.
Yes, so let's maybe
Talk about
limit
that.
our discussion to
Okay.
that, right? And then we
Just so I frame in my head, the question really was, they assert that it shouldn't be, the Ortman family asserts that it should be accepted because it was later than the actual date. And I mean, just it, but
Okay, I have a clarifying question that may relate to Commissioner Harvey's question. So isn't the question before us the support staff's decision?
No, I think the matter before us first is, given the new facts that have surfaced and the
Mhm.
conversation that we've had in executive session is, I propose that we consider whether or not whether or not the state land board should accept and review the Lens bid.
and in some ways, I think that's the same question.
I do too.
Mm.
As well, because we don't review bids,
No,
the staff does. Am I confused
No.
with this? I'm asking our Ed Hamrick.
Maybe the way to, if you bifurcate it that way, is to contemplate whether to,
so maybe it's
That
not a
what they-
motion. how about Commissioner?
The acceptance, the
Yeah.
staff
It
acceptance.
Well, we
needs a
do review
discussion
this.
and
You know
a
what-
consideration that would, we'll
Uh,
keep the motion the same. And we'll discuss, given the controversy on the bid, are there any reasons that would be, are there any discussions that would be material to voting on the motion or voting on the a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
Because by default, if we accept the staff's recommendation, we
We
decide,
assume
yeah.
that yeah, so is there anyone,
Yeah.
any questions or any
It should be-
comments?
Well,
I would
think-
suggest that you be clear, not that you rely on, that it's assumed that you've accepted the application just because, I mean, it is on the one hand self-evident, but I think it's probably more appropriate that you're clear that you're making that determination. If
Okay.
that makes sense.
Or although it's implied, why would we?
Would we do that through discussion
Supportive
or
of that.
through a separate motion?
You can do either. You
Okay.
can do either. I just want the decision to be clear.
Okay.
Rather than just, I get the point that if you were to act in a certain way, some of the decisions that need to be made before that would be implied. It's just difficult. It'll be easier going forward if we don't have implied decisions. Does that help?
So as to the matter of whether or not, or, you know, in terms of this discussion, and my point of view on this is we have conflicting sort of practices out there in the world that suggest when bids are due, the day before a deadline that falls on the weekend or a day after. And it seems to me that we aren't restricted from receiving and reviewing bids that are received regardless of the convention, that are received after the deadline. We have the ability here, we don't have to, we are not required to look and consider those bids. We have the option to consider those bids. And it's that sort of evaluation that leads me to say, I think in this case, I am comfortable and would recommend that we consider a bid that came in on a day that is sort of conflicting within our own processes.
Well, and I want to support that by saying I think it's common practice. You know, in another world where all of us review applications for a number of things, it's always been my view that on holidays, it's the next day.
It's the
after.
next day. Or
So,
even the IRS.
well, I mean, whether it's college applications, grant applications, all kinds of things that some of us that involved with, I think it's common practice. I don't know whether we have that, whether the statutes and where our rules are the same, but I think it's common practice. And so for that reason, I would support a motion that would accept the Lentz bid. That's what I'm putting
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah, I support that too. I think, the way I read this, those 180 days is for staff convenience. So as the chair said, we're not obligated to take any bid beyond that. But I think we do have some flexibility too. And, it sounds, we're talking about one day. And since, when you pay your taxes, they let you pay them a day late, as Commissioner Heath suggested, not a day late, but after a holiday or after a weekend.
Right,
Yeah.
And I think as we're charged with doing what we think is in the best interest of the
Mhm.
trust, I think it's always better to have two bids than one bid.
Yeah.
So I support that as well. So I do think that considering the motion or considering the board order in front of us is appropriate. That it recommends supporting a bid that we believe we have the, ability to review and consider.
Yeah.
Are there any other comments or insights?
No, I would just echo my fellow commissioners, thinking, I think, we have had experience with, folks relying on staff for communications around certain dates. But my real evaluation of this were the bid documents. And I felt, once, the evaluation mechanism was fair and how that scored out, the applications lent itself to the Lynn's Farms. And so for me, I understood the issue around the dates, but it really came down to the evaluation of those applications for me. And so I'm supporting the motion to award Lynn's Farms the lease.
Right, there's not actually a motion on the
No,
table.
not yet,
Yeah.
but.
No, well, there was a half
There's a-
motion that you
No.
said.
Commissioner Pribble, anything to offer on this? All right, well, I think given sort of this information that's been presented, Rachel's discussion, and the points that you all made, I think we're ready for a motion on the board order in our packet.
Well, I do see council.
Oh,
No, Mr. Chairman, I have no further comment. I just want to make sure that these are part of the record. And Mr. Hamrick, I believe they are part of the record
Yes.
discussing it with staff. But
Did you get a copy of what they've been provided? I'm sorry, I intended.
I did, but there wasn't.
You're welcome to-
There wasn't any statement on the record.
Yes.
Of those documents,
Yes.
and I want to ensure that they're part of the record.
thank you, and that's an oversight. I thought maybe with Rachel we did that, but would like to acknowledge that the handouts, the 3 handouts that everybody received here, including the commissioners, that reflect how we advertise these expiring leases, and some of the procedures around that are introduced into the record. They've been reviewed by the commission. Okay, so where were we on that motion?
Has anyone made a motion yet?
Josie would like to, I think.
I guess I have a question. There were 2 questions in my mind, whether or not the date was acceptable in terms of allowing that to be received from the Lens. And the second is, if we acknowledge that that date is acceptable, do we still award the lease as we did? Are we doing that in 2
I
motions?
thought we were
or
doing it in
just
2
one?
motions.
No, I think I reversed myself. I think we've
Just- okay.
discussed the implication
Okay,
that
got it.
you can't vote for this board order
Unless
unless you've come to a conclusion that the Lens bid was properly received and reviewed in this case,
Okay,
that we're choosing to do that.
so we're voting on the staff suggestion.
Yeah, we are.
Got it.
And but Commissioner Heath, you did raise something, that is, again, a lot of things are contextual when making decisions. It's not necessarily black and white. And in this case, I find too that the Lens party was told by a staff member who, based on practice and interpretation, the outside date for submitting something. And so I feel that that's a piece of this as well, in terms of whether or not we accept it.
So. Just
So-
so I'm clear, we're saying one motion.
One
is
motion.
sufficient.
And it's our board order.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna stick to that.
Just making sure. Everybody agrees that one board. I move the competitive bid lease AG 118096 as recommended by staff be accepted by the board as the decision on this competitive lease.
Thank you, Commissioner Heath. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Harvey. Commissioner Pribble, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey,
Aye.
Commissioner Heath,
Aye.
Commissioner Stanley?
Aye.
And the chair votes yes, so motion carries 5-0 to accept approve the board order. So. Where are we in?
Now I would mind giving much.
Having break in lunch, okay. So unless there's an objection, commissioners, are you okay with a working lunch?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so let's reconvene at 1:30.
Yeah.
Business meeting of the Colorado State Land Board. We're not back.
Now we're back.
Now we're back. Okay. Welcome back to the main meeting of the Colorado State Board of Land Commissioners. And we're at the point in the agenda where we're going to hear about Poetry Canyon purchase option.
Screen. I know you can use.
Okay. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Matt LaFontaine, Real Estate Program Manager for the State Land Board, and today I'm presenting the Poetry Canyon purchase option to you. As we talk through this, I just fundamentally want to break it down that this is an opportunity for us to create optionality with gaining some ground adjacent to a strategic property that the board holds. And in exchange for that optionality, we would be granting access, and I'll explain how this will come together under the proposed deal framework. The board is, I believe, fairly familiar with Chancellor Ranch. The property is about 46,000 acres located in Los Animas County. The board has recently discussed or reviewed the property in relation to RFPs, and also in April 2025 when the board did a workshop tour on the property. And this map shows kind of it's essentially a regional overview given how massive Chancellor Ranch is. But I want to point out a few items on it and then talk about those in more depth. So in blue in this black boundary is our Chancellor Ranch. You'll see a couple of other disparate single section state trust land parcels. Importantly, I'd like to also draw your attention on the east side of Chancellor to the Poetry Canyon Ranch, which was acquired earlier this spring by TNC. So this overview kind of shows the general relation between the two ranches. Now, if we zoom in on essentially this area, you'll see this next map. You'll see two dominant terrain features. This is Poetry Canyon that runs kind of easterly up here, goes in between State Land Board and Poetry Canyon Ranch, so kind of across ownerships. And then you'll see Chilcoot Canyon over here running north-south on the west side, again, with some of the bottom land running across ownerships. And so I mentioned TNC acquired their ranch, approximately 8,800 acres, earlier this spring, with one exception, and that is this 120-acre isolated parcel up here. TNC is actively endeavoring to establish and perfect access to that isolated parcel, which they require in order to close. In that vein, they approached the State Land Board and asked about options for granting such access. And typically, access that the State Land provides is through a road access permit or other short-term lease, as opposed to a permanent easement or something of that nature. In this case, we identified an opportunity to help clean up some of the border areas of Chancellor Ranch in this smaller Poetry Canyon, Chilcoot Canyon area, in exchange for offering an easement to TNC. So what our staff is proposing is to grant TNC a 15-foot wide permanent easement roughly along this yellow line here. That follows an existing 2-track down off of their property into Poetry Canyon, and then further along the bottomlands of Poetry Canyon. And to allow for a spur off of that, which would come up and provide access to this 120-acre parcel. TNC is currently under contract to acquire this parcel, but again, needs to resolve that access issue in order to complete their transaction. In exchange, TNC is willing to grant a 6-month option to the board to acquire all of the lands that are inside of these red boundaries. It's approximately 295 acres as mapped by GIS. Would include the isolated parcel. But more importantly, from our operational perspective, it would include the bottom lands that are associated with these three red bounded areas. I believe that the State Land Board would be well served by approving this option for easement opportunity. For a few reasons. The one is we can make an incremental improvement to our existing Chancellor Ranch, clean up some of that bottom land, help with the operational aspect of grazing or recreation uses going across boundaries. There is no direct monetary cost. The purchase option would allow a period of time for the State Land Board to essentially obtain a contractual right to purchase the property at a future date. At the to be determined appraised value. I say to be determined because while TNC obviously did appraisal work in connection with their acquisition, this appraisal would be limited to the specific acreage that I had identified in the red boundaries. But perhaps most importantly, I think this would set a partnership condition between us and neighboring landowners, both TNC and other large landowners, to signal that we're interested in doing projects to clean up boundaries and create better blocks of land for all interested parties. So hopefully this would be kind of a very small phase one for a much larger phase two that would be undertaken in a deliberate and thorough planning effort in the future. Importantly, the authority to expend NSC funds and the actual approval for the acquisition will come at a later date in a similar manner to other acquisitions. So today is really the board's weighing in on whether or not the obtaining of the option and obtaining the contractual right to acquire these lands is sufficient, or is commensurate with us granting this non-exclusive 15-foot wide easement as depicted on the prior map. And so with that, if there are any questions from the board, I'm happy to address them, or I can put up our recommendation in board order.
Thank you, Matt. And for the record and for the benefit of the rest of the commissioners, because I have a tangential volunteer arrangement with TNC in this transaction, I'm going to recuse myself. And so if the vice chair is willing, I'd love for her to handle this matter from here on out.
I accept that responsibility.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions?
So Matt, you're essentially saying we grant them a permanent easement for the option in the future to buy these parcels. Is that right?
The option at the same time of the granting of the easement, we would obtain that option. Right?
So it's just an option. It's not a commitment to buy.
Not a commitment on our part. So it would provide the right for the board to acquire the parcels, but not the obligation to do so.
Okay. What advantage? I kind of get two of the parcels, why it would help us, but why do we care on the one that's furthest to the left, whatever is that west, I guess? Why would we care whether we had that parcel or Nature Conservancy had that parcel?
So all these three parcels are all include bottom land of the canyon.
Oh, okay.
And they were configured with small aliquots to as closely aligned to the rim of the canyon as reasonably possible. But it's really capturing that bottom land.
I see. And are there any roads or trails in that little canyon, or is it just a canyon?
In this larger canyon in Choctaw?
Yeah.
There are. Yeah,
Okay.
there's I believe it 2 track roads that run.
Okay.
It may be in the detail here, Matt, but I missed it. Total acreage that's included in the option, or roughly?
Approximately 295 acres.
And does this predict any predictability about the cost of the transaction, or potentially the range or whatever?
The option would be at an appraised value. We have committed to using the same appraiser that was used by TNC from for their acquisition to provide some level of comfort as to where that might fall in, but their larger transaction, I believe, was approximately 1,300 an acre.
And would this qualify as an SE transaction?
It
or
would, so this
acquisition?
would be the second half of that, the replacement property acquisition, where we utilized NSE funds to purchase replacement properties.
And the last question I have is not relative to any of the first. Look, the end holding here, what is that? Just that? The end holding in the gray brick?
It is certainly an in holding. I don't know details as to why it exists or how it came to exist. I don't know if others on staff do.
Anybody know anything about the in holding?
Elliot Hoy, Assistant Director, Sustainability Working Lands. There is an in-holding there. I know in the past there were discussions of trying to acquire it. I don't know the details of why they fell through. I believe in a previous conversation with the board, staff was instructed to revisit that. So noted that you see that. I will find out some more information about the status of that and see whether or not there's an opportunity for us to clean up the interior as well as the exterior.
Exactly, yeah. No, I think we should pursue that in holding. The risk of in holdings is somehow that whoever owns it, it disrupts our plans for the entirety of the property. Obviously, you know that, but way better than I do. That's all I have.
So this, pursuing this as an option doesn't obligate us to anything potentially.
With the exception of granting the easement.
Well, they'll get the easement, but it doesn't mean we have to buy all of this. We could buy some of it,
Correct.
all of that to be evaluated at some point.
Yes, the option will be tied initially to the acquisition of all of it, but any aspect of the acquisition or the exercise of the option could be revisited between us and TNC as we progress through our due diligence.
I'm guessing there's more work to be done as we evaluate that. Okay.
Any other questions from? Do you have anything further you'd like to say, Nick?
I do not, thank you.
Is there any public comment from someone in the room? If not, is there any public comment online?
Folks listening along online, use that raise hand button to address the board on this item. Give you a few seconds to reply.
Yes, I had one other question. If not us, who might be interested in these parcels?
I think there's certainly going to be a lot of interest in the larger Poetry Canyon Ranch after TNC takes the actions that it intends to do so on that property. I don't foresee these as discrete parcels being of particular interest to anyone, nor do I foresee them being sold by TNC in this configuration to any other party.
Okay. I'm just curious. Thank you.
Madam Chair, no hands were raised on
All
that.
right, thank you. So no other questions? Chair entertains motion.
Madam Chair, I'll offer the motion. That you can find on page 20, the board packet. I move that, given the materials presented at our meeting today, the board determines the best interest of the trust to approve purchase option and easement grant as set forth by staff on page 20 of our board pack.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Pribble, seconded by Commissioner Harvey, and we want to acknowledge again that Commissioner Frobe has recused herself from any involvement with this. Any other questions? If not, all those in favor, Commissioner Pribble?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Commissioner Scanlon?
Aye.
The vice chair votes yes, and this passes, and I will refer the chair back to you, madam.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, commissioners.
Right. Mr. Massey? Also
Yes.
review?
And commissioners, if you'll indulge me, just hanging in my usual spot for this. I don't have a presentation, so I'll clear out the one that's up there. In your board packet, you've been presented with a review of the sort of fortunate timing of the conflict of interest policy, which we just put into good use with Commissioner Frobe recusing herself from an action. At this time, staff is not recommending any major revisions to the conflict of interest policy. It's fairly robust. I will offer that it was designed with lots of specific situations from the past in mind. So it's not meant to be unwieldy, it's just meant to be thorough. Happy to entertain any suggestions for revision, but also would welcome a motion to accept those. And that's it for the conflict of interest policy.
Comments, questions from commissioners? Any public comment?
Folks listening along online, if you wanted to comment on this item, please use the raise hand feature in your Zoom viewer. Raise your hand to address the commission. No hands raised, Commissioner.
Thank you. Mr. Massey, all right then, I'd entertain a motion on the policy review that is contained in the packet.
I move that we accept the policy review, conflict of interest as presented at our board meeting and in our packet.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Harvey? All right, and Commissioner Scanlon, how do you vote? Aye. Commissioner Heath?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Commissioner Pribble?
Aye.
And the chair votes yes, motion carries 5-0.
Excellent.
Thank you,
Glad
and
to have that behind me. Thank you.
you've
Uh,
got another at bat here.
And part and parcel with that policy, I'll be asking everybody to refresh their conflict of interest statement, just to say, you're welcome to disclose some if you have them. But if you have none, it gives the opportunity to say that as well under signature. And we keep those and we try to refresh them once a year. Secondarily, I've got another policy for your review again, for the record. Deputy Director Nick Massey presenting the revenue accounting policy review for the board. In this policy, one big chunk of subtraction is the reference to the 2019 strategic plan. It's also opportune that we've got a new plan in place effective or as of today as well, but really pulled that out because it was the only place I think in policy where we referenced a strategic plan as what gives authority, and it just doesn't fit anymore. I don't know that it fit way back when either, but suggesting we remove that. And then under on the second page, or let me just reference the item 3A brand new 2 for the terms of the policy. Feels like an opportune time to suggest that the board does give staff the blessing to pursue outside audit resources. Although this isn't a pre-approval of spending money on those resources, just to say staff should pursue those when appropriate. As you know, we've asked you for financial support in contracting with outside auditing parties in the last year plus, and that's going really well. It's achieving its goal quite cost effectively, and it's just nice to cast it into a piece of policy somewhere. Some of the other pieces of this policy are meant to demonstrate, perhaps to outside parties, that staff does have some authorities. And so it's always worth looking those over again. Welcome any suggested revisions that you might have at this time. And if not, welcome a motion in support of what's been presented.
Any questions, commissioners? Do we have any comments from the public?
Folks listening along online, if you'd like to comment on this skillfully presented item, please use the raise hand feature on your Zoom browser. It'll be brought forward to address the commission. No hands are raised.
Thank you. Then I'd entertain a motion to approve this policy per the board order.
I move that we approve the policy review revenue accounting 200.009 and its modifications as presented at our board meeting today and in our packet.
Thank you, Commissioner Scanlon. May I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Pribble, Commissioner Scanlon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Heath?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Commissioner Pribble?
Aye.
The chair votes yes, the motion carries 5-0. Very good work, Mr. Masters.
Thank you.
Now for the board meeting agenda. I know Andy is eager to hear from me. Yes, the questions I'm gonna have. Go
Good
ahead.
afternoon, Commissioner and Commissioners. Andy Bissett for the Transactions and Record Services team. And we do have the May 2026 board leasing agenda for your review. This month we have 4 bids, 2 of which are agriculture, 2 of which are recreation. 3 new leases, 1 ag, 1 rec. And then we have 2 extensions, 1 an exploration permit and 1 a solar extension. Happy to answer any questions. There are some staff that are happy to assist with any questions as well. But staff does recommend approval of the May 2026 board leasing agenda.
It's impressive. You got 8 applications on that one.
Yes, that was one
first time.
thing. That seems unusual to have that many.
Yeah, they were excited about the quality of the applicants from what Wilbur told me, and they all rated very close this time 3.
Excellent. And I don't know if you can illuminate $51 in AUM is a pretty stout number. Is there? Can anyone,
This is item number 1.
I'm sorry, it's number 2,
Oh, okay.
El Paso County. The lessee matched it, but
Yes.
what was it before? We know?
Yeah, Elliot Hoyt, Assistant Director, Sustainability Working Lands. The previous rate was $18.95 per AUM, so significant increase
How much? Yeah.
because. of
Any
the
insights on why?
Competitive process, yeah. I don't know.
Okay. Question on number 3, because I like it when it's noted, is this, was the award in number 3 to the existing lessee or to the new bidder?
Yeah, we would note if it was to the existing lessees, so
Okay, so if it's omitted, then I should assume it's not to the,
that's correct.
and then how do we come to have vacant parcels? And maybe it's, it's interesting, we have, I think I was talking to Nicole and there used to be 13 and now there's 9 or something. Director?
Thank you, Chair. To my knowledge, it was 19 at the start of this fiscal year. And I think we're down to under 10 vacant.
Sounds right. I don't know the exact number, but I remember it was in time that we had leased, so that your math sounds right to me.
Yeah, when we spoke to the Senate Ag Committee, 11 of 19 vacant parcels have been activated. And this makes another. So
I'm just curious, do they have sort of random different stories, all these different parcels, or how were they overlooked? Were they sitting in inventory? I'm just curious how at this stage of our evolution, we still have vacant parcels.
Excellent question again, Elliot Hoyt. I don't see, Rachel's not here. Let us come back to you with that. I
Okay.
know I've heard individual random stories for at least a few of them, but I don't know if that's a pattern or not. So I'm happy to address where does the vacant backlog come from, and then where are we in the status of getting.
Great. Thank you. Look for that. Questions or comments, commissioners? Public comment, Nick?
You're listening along the line and wanted to speak to the board on this item, is that raising? No hands are raised, Commissioner.
Thank you. I might entertain a motion to approve this.
I move we approve the board leasing agenda for May 2026 as presented.
Second, thank you. Have a second from Commissioner Heath. Commissioner Privet, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Commissioner Scanlon? Aye. And chair votes yes, motion carries. It's approved. Thank you, Andy. I reviewed the minutes of board meeting and the special or the strategic planning meeting, and They seem good to me, so unless any of the commissioners have any
I guess this-
revisions or comments on those minutes? Hearing none, I declare they're approved by acclamation. And then a final. Oh.
I'm deep in set allocations.
Yeah, but, oh, Matt, okay, sorry, I got mixed up on. Didn't mean to give you that horrible. What are we doing? All right, so let's discuss that. Thank you.
Yes. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Mal LaFontaine, Real Estate Program Manager. I think the timing for this item is quite appropriate given the strategic plan adoption earlier today. But this item is to ask for the board's approval to expend the investment and development dollars necessary to complete our asset allocation consultant work. So dating back quite some time, in fact, if you look at one of the established goals in the prior strategic plan, which was from 2019, the board recognized the need to do the planning work necessary to truly study the portfolio and how its various components work together, and ultimately to work toward creating a target asset allocation that would help guide future transactions and actions that the board takes moving deliberately toward a certain composition of the trust. A lot of complexity and secondary and tertiary factors coming into that that kind of framework, including how the permanent fund is a part of the whole trust concept. In last month, we completed a solicitation of or we completed an RFP process and received and completed our proposal aspect, and now we're seeking the funds to move forward. We're close to the final awarding of that scope, but of course we need the IND funds to complete the engagement and start this process. Talk through a few deliverables that the board will get in exchange for these funds. One is recommendations on what that asset allocation could or should be going forward. One is information on distribution policies and optimal structures that could be implemented to best achieve intergenerational equity. Importantly, there's going to be an Excel model created and provided to staff that will be updated and maintained to allow us to make very informed investment recommendations of individual investments as they relate to the trust. So hopefully making that big step from kind of a more microscopic view to a more macroscopic view when we're making any of our land and investment decisions. So those are the major components. I think that's what I have prepared to talk about today, but ultimately seeking that investment and development fund of up to $150,000 to engage the consultant on this work and help achieve the strategic objective.
Thank you, Matt. And Commissioner Heath, as part of the model that Matt referred to, that's where those assumptions of new lines of business associated with the assets we already own, how all that gets captured and analyzed. Thank you. Commissioner Harvey?
So Matt, this consultant would look at the entire portfolio, land and cash, or just land?
Both components, the state land board real property component, and all those subcomponents of types of real property that we're invested in, everything from water to land, to our mineral estate, understanding the interplay and the benefits of increasing or decreasing levels of those kind of components, but also studying and how the interplay with the permanent fund occurs and what that means to our beneficiaries from the larger, higher level perspective.
And what's the nature of this company? I read it briefly, but what's their consulting background and how familiar are they with state land board lands?
Very. We targeted kind of a short list of investment analysis firms that have done similar work, and we felt would be able to undertake this specifically based on have the nature of those firms and the work they do.
And they're gonna try to incorporate the other values we've listed in terms of stewardship and.
They are, and in fact, the impact component of this within the state land board side of the trust and some of those hard to quantify values that should be taken into account will be a part of this.
And what makes them more qualified than you guys, staff?
Yeah, I think
They're
there's,
qualified, but since you guys know the land so well and have all this experience, I'm just curious.
I think what this is bringing more tools to the table.
Mhm.
We anticipate there being a lot of staff input and interaction with the consultant as they work through this problem set.
Mhm.
But I think we will be right there hand in hand offering everything that staff has and is capable of doing.
I think it also offers capacity.
Mhm.
I mean, it's been on the strategic plan for 8 years.
Yeah.
And there's a reason we haven't really gotten it across the finish line.
Mhm.
It's capacity.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those places where outside expertise brings us a lot of fresh perspective. I mean, any of us, my knowledge and experience gets a little stale, you know, if I'm in a role for a while.
Right.
So we expect our partners that are interested in this project to bring us absolutely, you know, leading edge thinking, analysis, data sets in ways that we might not be able to efficiently.
And what's the time frame for deliverable or whatever documents?
Yeah, it's conceived to be about a 6-month total project timeline.
Thanks.
I would add to that, the timing is really relevant. One, it's nice that the strategic plan is finished, but even more importantly, we have a new administration and a new treasurer coming in. And this exercise will help us produce the evidence and the analyses to make very compelling arguments for various things policy-wise that we're seeking to make the trust deliver on the premise.
Plus we have all that Lahara money burning in our pocket someday, right?
Well, let's not count those chickens.
Yeah.
Theoretically, anyway.
Yeah.
No, it's very good timing to get this
Yeah.
done, and I think the firm that we've got is sufficiently familiar and experienced and will add a lot. And I think the staff and the organization will learn a lot through this process and the commissioners. And we don't have to vote on that. Well, I guess we do. It's IND,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, because it's over 50.
Yes, please.
All right. So any more questions before we have a motion? Oh, I guess we'll do public comment then.
Listening along online, if you wanted to make a comment on this item. And as of note, this item was added to the packet in a last minute adjustment in the modified packet, which has been on the website since Monday, I believe. But if this was the item you were hoping to comment on, please do that now by using the raise hand button. No hands are raised.
I'd entertain a motion then.
Move we support the IND funds as requested.
May I have a second? A second, Commissioner Heath? Sure. All right, may I have a vote, Commissioner Pribble,
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey,
Aye.
Commissioner Heath,
Aye.
Commissioner Scanlon? Aye. Chair votes yes, motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much, Matt,
Thank
really
you.
for the hustle to get this on the agenda. Great. Right, is there anything else?
One little minor item, with all this drought across the state, you know, even if the drought ends next year, a lot of our properties will still be suffering from the last couple of years, at least on my side of the state. So I'm curious, this doesn't have to be answered now, but I assume the staff is looking at, you know, the collective years in one after the other, two after the other, in terms of management, in terms of AUMs and all that stuff.
Yeah, Elliot Hoyt, Assistant Director. Thank you for the question. You're of course absolutely right, and in particular that hot red dot in your
Yeah.
part of the state is a
Yeah.
very uncomfortable situation, but it's, it's been moving around the state, right?
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of drought and, staff definitely is very aware of it, working very closely with lessees and with our partners at USDA and others to figure out solutions. In particular, we are working on a document, Rachel Turner, field operations team leader, has been working with the field operations team on, a set of protocols. We already have in place, mechanisms for if lessees, have drought on their property, they can come to us for a reduction in the AUMs because of that. We also want to make sure that we have proactive, steps that field operations takes in terms of, as you want to set a deadline for like, when are you going to make a decision about what the rest of the season's going to
Yeah.
be? You don't wait until it's
Yeah.
too late, right? And so we're working on, understanding those kinds of protocols and procedures and so forth, and what tools and resources we can offer up and so forth. So very, very pertinent, same as the wildfire issues and so forth. So let us come back to you. I think we'll have an opportunity to share either in the staff report or maybe in an information item, the ways in which staff engages with lessees on short and long-term drought issues. So very
Thank you.
relevant.
All right, well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Productive meeting, and we're now adjourned.
Great.